Welcome to my favourite place in England, a walled city founded by the ancient Romans who first named it Iberacum, meaning yew tree, place or land of the yews. Many years later, after being raided by the Vikings, it was renamed Jorvik, then later by the Normans who named it what we still call it to this day, York. This ancient city has the reputation for being the most haunted city in England, perhaps even Europe, and some even say the world. There's a rich history of ghostly tales that stretch back centuries, and I'm going to take you to some of the most famous spots. And then join me as I stay the night in the most haunted hotel in the city, where we will try and communicate with the dead. So, the first place I want to bring you is here, Micklegate Bar. Micklegate coming from the word Mickleheath, meaning great street, and bar because it used to have a barbican, a walled space on the front with walkways for the soldiers to patrol, but that was demolished in the early 19th century. This is the main entrance to York and one of 4 medieval gateways. As I mentioned earlier, this is a walled city, so you have to come through one of these, and this one if you're coming from the south. This is around 1200 years old and has been a ceremonial point of entry for royal visitors. When they arrive here, it's tradition that they stop and ask for the Lord Mayor's permission to enter the city. But why am I here? Over the years, it's also been used as a prison, the last place for these prisoners before they were taken away for execution. The heads were brought back here and displayed on top of the bar. Not only the common criminals, but some well-known historical figures, such as Richard, Duke of York, after being killed in the War of the Roses. With all of this suffering in the prison, the bloodshed and death, the displayed heads with blood from them dripping down the walls, you'd not be shocked to hear that people have reported seeing spirits of those prisoners. People have seen and heard soldiers walking on patrol. But the most common story might surprise you. Many people say they see a little girl here, a girl called Sarah. Her father Thomas was the gatekeeper here. She played a prank on her dad and hid his keys, the most important thing to a gatekeeper. Unfortunately, she forgot where she hid them. They kept it quiet for a little bit, but eventually Thomas had to confess. He said that he had lost the keys, and what good is a gatekeeper that loses his keys? He was fired and the family were thrown out onto the street with nowhere to go. The thing is though, Sarah's ghost is seen quite often as a little girl at the age she lost the keys, but she didn't die at that age. Because of this guilt for what she put her family through, that event haunted her for her whole life. She continued to look for the keys until she grew old. One time, looking for the keys on her 77th birthday, she found them, but they were just out of reach. She went to find the Lord Mayor to tell him where they were. She was shouting, "I found them! I found the keys!" Sarah was so excited that she ended up having a heart attack and she passed away. Was this the reason why she's still seen? Is the reason why she's still seen as a little girl looking for her keys because that moment in her life was always on her mind? Is it just replaying on repeat? People often feel someone pulling on their clothes like a child would do. People have said they believe that it could be Sarah asking for help to look for the lost keys. From one spirit of a young girl to another. This house on College Street, right next to York Minster, is said to be haunted by the spirit of a young girl. Back in the 14th century, York was hit with the Black Plague. The city was populated by 15,000 people, and it's said that around 10,000 died from the fatal disease. These closely built homes, crowded living, little hygiene and no sanitation all helped the plague spread. Now, I've heard 2 stories of what happened here, and both are absolutely tragic. One goes, the family who lived here, a mother, father and daughter, unfortunately ended up catching the disease. The authorities marked their house with a red cross which warned others not to enter, and they locked the family inside. The mother and father died from the disease, and with people thinking the little girl had the disease as well, they left her locked inside the home with the dead bodies of her parents. For 3 weeks they heard the screams of the little girl, but no one dared to even open the door to give her water or food. When her screaming eventually stopped, they entered. The authorities were wrong. She wasn't sick from the plague. She was skin and bones and had died from slow starvation. What an absolute tragedy. The other story is that her parents thought that she had caught the disease. They tucked her into bed one night and locked her bedroom door behind them. They painted a red cross on the outside door to warn others about the infection inside. And then they fled York and left her locked inside the house alone. It's strange how there's 2 stories, but either way, the poor girl was locked inside alone and screaming for help. People still report to this day that they can hear screams coming from this house, and that they've often looked up to the windows here and seen the spirit of the young girl, no doubt wanting help from someone passing by. This absolutely breaks my heart, but you just have to think how scared people were back then. With most of the city dying from this plague, it must have been terrifying. I can imagine this wasn't the only time this sort of thing happened. So we are stood now where 150 people died, all in this one spot here inside Clifford's Tower. What happened here is known as the 1190 massacre. After the Normans conquered Jorvik and renamed it York, they must have been a bit tight on money from the war. Around this time, Jews came over from France, and luckily for the king, they had money. They became protected by the crown, and over time established communities in most cities in England. But over this time, tension was growing due to the disagreements between Jewish and Christian churchmen. There were vicious rumours spread, accusing the Jews of murdering Christian children, which strengthened their hate towards Jews. At King Richard I's coronation banquet, Jews such as Benedict of York were denied entry. A rumour spread that the king ordered the massacre of the Jews, and Benedict was killed after being denied entry, and then the riots started. During these riots, there were some that took advantage of the chaos. There were many properties being looted, but not only that, they killed anyone they would find inside. A man called Josias managed to escape one of these attacks and led the city's Jews to seek protection from the keeper of the king's tower inside the castle, this very spot. Inside the tower, the trust between the Jews and the keeper broke down. He left the tower on other business, but fearing he will betray them when he returned, they locked him out. This was a challenge against the king's authority, and the keeper and his troops joined the mob of civilians outside, where they had stones thrown at them from the Jews inside the tower. Now being trapped inside the tower, back then not stone like it is today, which was built 60 years after this event, but wood. The mob set fire to it and decided to wait them out, and they had no escape. One of the mob's ringleaders, called Richard Malbis, offered safe passage to any Jew who agreed to leave the tower and convert to Christianity. With no other option, a few took him up on this offer, only to be murdered as soon as they came out from the burning building. With the Jews inside the tower seeing this, realizing they couldn't hold their own against their attackers, not wanting to wait and die in the burning tower, they decided to end their own lives. They threw all their possessions they had brought with them into the fire. The father of each family killed his wife, his children, and then himself. It's thought that there could have been around 40 families inside there and around 150 people. What an absolute horrific story. Local folklore claims that on the anniversary of the massacre, the walls bleed. Once the wooden tower was replaced with this stone one, deep red stains started to show on the walls. It's believed that the ground of the tower was stained red from the blood and has soaked into the walls. The thing is though, this is true. The walls do turn red, but now we understand that it's actually caused by a hydrated iron oxide. Even though that's the case, there are still some unexplained reports reports, the smell of fire, ghostly footsteps heard around the tower, the sound of children crying, and knocks on the doors. As mentioned at the start, when the Jews came over from France, they supported the king with money. Not only the king, but the public as well. After this riot, the mob went to York Minster, where the records were kept, and they destroyed anything they could find, getting rid of any debts they owed. And while we finish up that brutal story from York, ending with York Minster, why don't we go there now? So, here we are at York Minster, and look at this place. If you can, you need to come and check it out, because I don't think cameras can do this place justice. This building has been the centre of Christianity since the 7th century. Like we've just spoken about, Clifford's tower being wood, this was as well. It was rebuilt multiple times after the Norman conquest and after it was destroyed by the Danes. It was built like we see today in 1215. Archbishop Walter de Grey ordered a Gothic structure to be built to rival the cathedral at Canterbury. Every part of the building, from the stone, the stained glass, tells the tale of Jesus Christ. I am not religious in the slightest, but I appreciate the artistry and work behind this. It's just amazing. It's said that this is the most haunted place in York, and some have claimed even more than the place I'm staying at tonight. There's been many reports of ghostly sightings over the years, such as spirits sat in the pews, old Minster workers, a man wearing an Elizabethan dress, and of course monks have been reported here as well. People have even heard ghostly barks from a dog which was allegedly bricked up alive by cruel masons. But have I had my own paranormal experience here? You can climb the spiral staircases and get onto the roof to look over the city. I was climbing up them one day, and sometimes you have to squeeze yourself to the side to let someone else pass. I heard someone coming up the stairs quite quickly. I thought, oh damn, someone's in a rush, so I held myself up against the wall, waiting for them to come around the corner and go past me. But no one came. The sound of the footsteps just stopped. I got the chills up my back because I got a bit spooked. Was it actually someone behind me who just decided to run back down the stairs, even though it's one way? Was it some kind of weird acoustics that made it sound like they were running up behind me? Or was it ghostly footsteps? I don't know, but it freaked me out. Alright guys, I think it is time to get to where we are staying tonight. Let's go. The Golden Fleece, the most haunted pub and hotel in York, and they're very proud of that. Mentioned in York archives as far back as 1503, the Golden Fleece is York's oldest pub. Once owned by members of the Merchant Adventurers Guild, who were wool traders. It's been an inn since 1656. Over the years, it's had various owners. One was the Lord Mayor of York, John Peckett, and his wife, Lady Alice Peckett. She is who many guests report seeing walking up and down the stairs and along the corridor. And it just so happens I'm staying in her room tonight. Apparently she moves furniture around because she may not be happy with where it's been placed. Another owner unfortunately took his own life at one of the bars in here. A lot of people said they feel uneasy in that room. Some have even had to leave to catch a breath because of the feeling of a tightening around the neck. Is this because of what's happened here somehow? Or could it be because of something else? I'm going to try an experiment in this room then, where I'm looking for the presence of infrasound. 20 hertz and below, or in other words levels we just cannot hear. It's been shown that the experiences people have had when exposed to infrasound match the experiences that people have had when in a supposed haunted location. It can make you feel a presence, like someone is watching you, sick and uneasy, and it's even been said that you could get corner of the eye phenomena. So I'm just going to leave this here for a little little bit and see what shows up. While it's measuring this room, I'm going to do a quick once over of the place and take note of any high spikes in EMF, as that could be another possible explanation for any strange things that are going on here. And to be honest, there's not much going on actually down here, I don't think. It's just kind of reading the normal sounds that you would expect to hear. Nothing below what we should expect. But I guess that was worth a shot, trying to, debunk something, but maybe there's something spooky going on after all. Hey, it's Editing Mythos, and I've actually lost most of my footage from downstairs. But to be honest, nothing really happened, and the back bar that was meant to be open as well was locked for some reason, so I couldn't even get in there. So I'm kind of just back up in my room, which isn't a big deal because this room is apparently the most haunted room in the inn. So because we've kind of looked out from going down to the very cool bit of the inn, I'm going to come up here and tell you the story of one of the famous ghosts here, and it's of the Canadian airman. Now, I've seen a few different versions of one story, but one of the old landlords of this inn said that the airman had a couple of weeks off, as many did, and would often stay here. They would go out for drinks at the Punch Bowl, visit Betty's Tea Rooms, a famous stop off in York. So while one gentleman was staying at the Golden Fleece, he found out that his wife was up to no good with somebody else. He went out to drown his sorrows. He came back to the inn incredibly drunk. In the morning, he was found in his bedroom hanging by his neck from one of the wooden beams. Another version of the story is that he jumped from the window to his death. But either way, many people have reported seeing a soldier in full airman uniform. One other place I'm absolutely devastated that we can't go, and I kind of thought we wouldn't be able to anyway, but it's actually the cellar, because some people who were executed actually were brought down to the cellar. The bodies were just left there until the family came to collect them. So there's been a lot of death down there. But not only that, the people who were executed, people have seen Roman soldiers down there, not forgetting this was a Roman city. People have said they've literally seen them marching and just disappearing through the walls. Now imagine capturing that on camera. That would be literally insane. Although then again, no one would believe it was real. But I would have loved to have gone down there and actually seen what we could have captured. So I think it's about time we get some devices set down and see if anyone would like to set them off for us. Now, one thing I've brought is this little cheeky bell here, because you might have seen people using those bells, the electronic ones that get set off. But in my opinion, if the electronic, that is just no good, because that device could be doing anything inside that little electronic box. This is literally just metal, just a bell, and it requires physical touch. It's literally just a bell. So we're going to place that over here, see if anyone would like to check it out. So if there's anybody there, Lady Peckett, this was your room. A lot of people have said that you haunt this place still. Would you like to talk to me? I can probably imagine a lot of people have come here and asked for party tricks, do this, do that. If you genuinely would like to talk to somebody, I'm here to talk to. If you're here, you can touch this device on the bed there. It's got a little metal rod popping up. If you touch that, go close to it, it will make a noise. Even if Lady Peckett isn't here, I've heard that there's other people around. There's a young boy, apparently, who still resides here. I've heard back in the day you were a little pickpocket, you cheeky thing. If you want to talk, I've got some coins in my pocket. You don't have to come and pickpocket me. I'll put them on the bed. You can have them, they can be yours. Is anybody there? If there's anybody here and you're listening, there's a bell over there. Why don't you go and press that bell for me just to let me know you're here? I'm not asking any tricks. I just want to know if you're here. And then if you want, we can talk. Just checking it's on. So a lot of people talk about mirrors being kind of a glimpse into the other side. If there is anyone here, do you think you could possibly show me through the mirror? Before, when I first come into the room, when I was just getting ready, not even filming, I thought I seen someone walk behind me. Is there anyone who can redo that now? If it did happen? Can you go behind me, show me through the mirror? It didn't happen. In the morning, when I was doing my hair in the mirror, the light on the mirror casts your shadow behind you, and because I was looking at my hair in the mirror, out of the corner of my eye, it was my own arm's shadow, which looked like something behind me in the room. I just heard some click back here, but I think it might have just been my camera up there. How do you like my CCTV, guys? Looking fancy? I've just heard that again. Yeah, I think it's this. Yeah, there it goes again. It's my camera. But like I was saying before on my live that I did on my channel, just when I was like chilling here, lying on this bed, I was just on my phone for a little bit after I've been walking all day. I was just chilling there, and this cupboard wardrobe thing here just went knock, like literally a knock, and I was thinking, cupboards don't knock. What was that? So I'm not sure if like there was a shift in weight somewhere and made the sound. I don't know, but it was pretty weird. Now what I do have to say about this room, apparently people get funky vibes in here because like they say, it's kind of the most haunted room apparently. I have literally fell over 3 times. Not even joking you, I fell over. Well, 2 times I kind of stumbled. I just seen something there. Just maybe a shadow. But there was one time I was just literally sat here putting my shoes on, and as I stood up I literally stumbled and I had to grab onto the... Oh, that was me. I had to grab onto the bed because I fell, because the floors in this place are so uneven, it's crazy, literally all over the place. All I can describe it as is I felt drunk. I literally felt drunk, and all I was doing was just walking around the place. Even when you walk up the stairs, you feel funky, and all you're doing is walking up the stairs, so it can give you very strange vibes. I just want to note that because I'm not sure if anyone else has said that, and it just makes you feel very strange. Now I did have one room, but that was before the room. Now just in case anyone is kind of struggling with the devices that I've been asking you to show me if you're here, what about this one? You should just be able to hopefully just touch this and it will kind of spike in numbers, go to higher numbers to show me that you're here. So if you could do that, that would be literally amazing. I'm going to put this down here. If there is anyone here, if you could touch that, make it light up red, that would show me that you're here. Messed that up there, didn't I? Why is it doing that? Going red up here. It's doing it again. It never did that before. It's only when I go high. Is it because of these night vision cameras, the CCTV I'm using? Try again. Look at that. And that is red warning. That's like, get out of this area. It must be the cameras. Okay, I'm just going to ask this just in case. If somehow that was someone touching that, I'm not sure if it is. I think it was my cameras. But if you could try and touch this again, this down here, make it go red, then I will know you are here touching it. Come on. Touch this. I think it was my cameras, wasn't it? Alright, we've got 3 devices here on the bed. All either of these things need is just a little touch, a little bit of energy to set them off. And then that will let me know that you are here. Is there anybody out there? Now, a lot of people say, don't they, that you only get evidence when you're not filming. Is that because the evidence that you get when you're not filming, you could just put down to ghosts? When you film it, you might figure out on camera, oh yes, that was just the cupboard, you know? Or do spirits think, oh, cameras, no? Or is there no ghosts? No spirits? No afterlife? That's the danger with going places where people say things happen and they don't happen for you. You might start to question things. Well, it was a long night of talking to myself. I'm packing away and getting some sleep. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.